are glad you could make the time for us. This is Health and Lifestyle, where we talk all matters health. A very warm welcome. My name is Marie Yambo, and as always, our social media handles at Marie Yambo at KBC Channel 1 on X and KBC Channel 1 TV on Facebook. Coming up in this program,
having disability is enough already to give you mental torture.
Hearing loss, the pain of social isolation.
If you have a child born premature, that child could be developing or could have hearing problems later on.
Who is at risk of a hearing loss? And on good practice, we look at some of the harmful practices that can cause hearing loss. Well, by 2050, nearly 2.5 billion people are projected to have some degree of hearing loss, and at least 700 million will require hearing rehabilitation. That is according to the World Health Organization. And over 1 billion young adults are at risk of permanent yet avoidable hearing loss due to unsafe listening practices. Now, at the age of 13, Gladys Acheng developed hearing loss. It was a life-changing moment that meant changing schools and her career. Here is her story. Gladys Acheng, a final year student at the Kenyatta University, has overcome numerous obstacles in her pursuit of education. Although she was initially accepted into a medicine program after high school, a hearing disability prevented her from following that path.
When I was growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor or do any course in medicine field. But I feel like most of the time, maybe when I share my story, maybe with my mentor, or people that I'm close with, and tell them that I want to do any course in medicine field, especially the theater. So they told me, like, in theater room, you'll find like communication is the key. They will tell you to do this and this and this. So I felt like when you have hearing problem, it will be very difficult for me to communicate with my fellow doctors in theater room.
Instead, she pursued a degree in special needs education, but the challenges continued.
I had difficulty in mathematics class and also business in first year and second year because it had a lot of accounting. The formulas, how they are being explained, and also the concept. Yeah. So I find like even sometimes when I concentrate on the interpreter and forget to look on the board, I will find myself I'm lost.
Gladys was born with normal hearing, but from a young age, she began experiencing pain in her ears, which gradually led to hearing loss.
From my childhood, I could always have hearing. My ear could always pain. So I was growing up using medicine until I was 13 years old. 2 previous days before that incident happened, I could now get like when someone is talking to me, I could say, So I want him or her to repeat what you're saying many times or louder until I just woke up and found like I couldn't hear.
This condition prompted her enrollment in a special school for the deaf, a decision that was difficult for her family to come to terms with.
It was really hard on them, and also people were talking, oh, the child now has a disability because like I was performing very well. So my relatives could even talk. It really made me feel bad because seeing my family who I was used to laughing with, singing stories, and now I could just sit at the corner because I can't hear. So my life was really lonely at that time, and even sometimes I recall it's really painful because my family members, they really wanted to talk to me, but they were like, how can I do it? So even transferring from a normal school to a disability school took me 1 year because they didn't accept that now I'm going to a disability school. They said, remain in that school, we are praying. We hope one day everything will be okay. So because I was the one who was facing the challenge of being in that school, it forced me to pretend like I'm sick for 2 months, just not to go to that school.
However, Gladys's life took a turn for the better when she received a hearing aid from Hearing You, a company dedicated to improving lives through hearing solutions.
When I got the hearing aid, it really changed my studies, because you find like the challenge of looking at the lecture, at the same time looking at the interpreter and missing the concept. I could now follow the lecturer and listen to what he's saying.
To learn more about how the hearing aid works, I visited Hearing You's offices where Rushab and Jay, the founders, shared their mission to transform lives.
You have a smartwatch which acts as a sound receiver, okay? And then you have the headset, which is the hearing aid, which acts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and I'll fit the headset onto you, and I will ask you to close your ears as if you're making yourself deaf or impaired, and you will see the miracle. And remember, this watch acts as a sound receiver.
Okay. So a sound receiver means that...
So basically what happens is all the sound that we are talking at a 360-degree modular will go through the watch and automatically into your brain. So you can see you're wearing the headset here on the bone. But whatever I'm talking, now I want you to shut your ears and tell your viewership whether you can hear or not. So whatever I am talking to you now, Marie, you should be able to hear me because you're hearing from the bone. This is our revolution that we brought in. So the affordability, the durability, as Rushab has mentioned, and the strongness and the tech. Within all our hearing aid range, we bring you 134 languages as well. So if I speak in Kiswahili, the other person will hear it in English, and if there's a third person in the group, they will hear it and hear it written and see it written in English or Chinese or Arabic or any other language.
Whatever you've explained, I could hear you quite well. So this is just to explain how, is it the bone conductivity works?
So basically how it works is the headset is connected through an app which is called Hearing You. Okay? When you download the app, which is part of the headset and the package that you get with the hearing aid, so you download the app and automatically register. So now I wanted to explain to you. The headset is paired automatically with the receiver via Bluetooth. Marie, you can then pair it with your phone, then go home and pair it with your TV as well. You are able to do the work and the normality, what a normal person like you and me will do instead of a disabled hearing person, what he is not able to do.
In addition to helping with hearing, the devices also support learning in different languages.
That same person can go home with our Hear New set and practice at home 134 languages. So Kiswahili is there, obviously, for Kenya. We are working on, and this is not worked under the platform I'm hearing, it's under Google platform. So soon Kikuyu will be an official language. Luo might be an official language. It is coming up. So when these are automatically, we incorporate it to our apps and stuff and into our software to allow that conversation to happen. But Kiswahili on its own is a big thing because people working in Kenya who want to work in Uganda, Tanzania, this, that, for example, if they couldn't speak Kiswahili and they could only speak their local, they're able to even use that. So if you have a look at this, this is like a small piece which actually fits into your ear, very small, that it literally once it goes into your ear, it's hidden. So these hearing aids are for severe to profound, basically, or moderate to profound or severe. So basically your hearing has to be quite severe to have this kind of hearing aid.
Once feeling isolated, Gladys is now driven by a new purpose to advocate for people with disabilities and raise awareness about their challenges.
When you have hearing impairments, it's not the end of the world. You can do anything. Even if I didn't have hearing aid, if I decided to do that medicine career, I could have done it. So when you have a disability, don't say, maybe don't listen to people that you have this disability, you can't do this. Even if you have which kind of disability, just believe in yourself, you can. And also to parents, they just hold hands of their children who have disability. Having disability is enough already to give you mental torture because the treatment, the accommodation that...
And as Gladys Acheng has said it, Disability is not inability. You can achieve anything for as long as you have the right support. And so on Word on the Street, we just wanted to hear what are some of the challenges that people have faced with their hearing. Take a listen.
My name is Hezbon Owor. Personally, I've encountered people with hearing impairment, and perception at first, you don't know how to communicate with them, and you don't even know how you'd want to approach them because, first of all, personally, I don't know sign language. So communication, me and somebody who has hearing impairment, especially somebody who cannot hear, is a bit challenging. So most of the time I would just avoid them or try as much as possible to mimic a way of communicating with them. But it's a challenge. The public should give them a chance because it's a quiet world for them.
I'm called Collins Lasiemwa. Really interacted with people living with hearing impairment or hearing loss. I have relatives and friends who have such issues. For sure, it's a big problem in Kenya because people living with hearing impairment, it's a disability that is not seen, it's unseen. Like somebody who is blind, you can be able to tell he's blind. Somebody who is on a wheelchair can be able to see, but deafness is hidden. Take early intervention like for the kids. If you can be able to see signs, somebody is unable to hear. Maybe like if you listen to high volume of TV and radio, that's one sign. You may be able to see one that usually ask somebody to repeat what he has said to him. That's also another sign. These people need to be helped. Even as we age, our grandmothers, you can acquire deafness. Deafness is not for anybody. You can acquire it through accident, head injury, some diseases, also as you try to age.
My name is Stephen Onyango. I am personally a trained teacher for the deaf people, like special needs education. And we want to encourage everybody to be learning sign language because remember it is a third language. Starting by English, Kiswahili, and sign language. Those ones are recommended in the Constitution. I want to also encourage the government to develop policies that maybe can make them inclusive. On the education for the deaf child, you know, it has been a very big problem in Kenya today. Some of the parents tend to hide them and then later on bring them on board. So they start the schooling, some of them as far as 15 years old.
On that note, we take a break, but we'll be back with much more, including what are the causes of hearing loss and what are some of the interventions in place. Welcome back to the program. Hearing loss can happen at any stage in life. It can be congenital, meaning someone is born with it, or could be external factors. Dr. Benson Ototo is an audiologist. He begins by first explaining who an audiologist is and some of the causes of hearing loss.
The work of an audiologist is to see how the ear works. So we do the evaluation and determining whether this ear has any issues, especially when we talk of things to do with the hearing losses. We have a lot of cases of hearing impairment because of various reasons. The ear is ready to hear right from the time the child is in the womb, provided it's at that age when the ear is ready to hear. So when they come to the world, they have ears now which are ready to receive sounds. One, there are children who are born with hearing problems. They either get these hearing problems during the time of birth, or they are born with a hearing loss as they are born. So there is a hearing loss that the child has from the mother's womb, so will be born with a hearing loss. It's a hearing loss which may occur at the time of birth. Therefore, a hearing loss that occurs this early, we call them congenital hearing losses. That is a hearing loss at birth. And thereafter, at any age, anybody can develop a hearing loss because of other reasons. There is a category of children who are always at risk of getting a hearing problem. Now, if you have a child born premature, that child could be developing or could have hearing problems later on. If you have a child when the mother was giving birth, there was a lot of difficulty. So that difficult labor may also be an issue to the hearing during the time of birth. We have had children who get jaundice, very severe damage to blood, and then they have to get blood exchanged. So you find what we call jaundice, severe jaundice, necessitating a change of blood. Those children are at risk of becoming hearing impaired. Children who get sick, like meningitis, could develop a hearing problem. Children who have very severe pneumonia could develop a hearing problem. Children who have had, say, like they have to be given oxygen because of some problem and so on. And children who get very severe dehydration from things like vomiting, diarrhea, and so on. That category is also at risk of getting hearing impairment. Children born in a family where parents have a hearing problem, they are likely to have a hearing problem. Maybe it is genetic in nature, so they can inherit from the parents. Adults can also have infections like children can do, like meningitis, like other infections. They can also have injuries and other things. But we have noise as an effect to damage to hearing, what we call noise pollution, especially if it is so loud and you are exposed to that loud sound for so long, it keeps damaging hearing gradually. You may also have noise damaging hearing if it has like a one-time incident, like an explosion or like other things. We also have noise damage to hearing as a form of occupation.
So how then do you detect, hearing loss in a child? You've just given birth for a mother, and it's until a certain age that you can actually tell if a child is not talking. But how then do you detect, and how early can you detect hearing loss in a child?
As the child keeps developing, what it triggers some suspicion that there may be a problem with this child is when a child is late to develop speech. So let's take a mother now, because it's the one who is the first, who is always in contact with a baby. You can see how your baby is reacting to various environmental sounds. Now, when you find that there are things the child is not even bothered about, something happens and you either open the door suddenly and the child is just playing there, and then you wonder what is happening. He's not even aware that I'm coming.
So we've talked about congenital hearing loss and all that, but then we know that hearing loss can occur at any time of life. What can cause hearing loss later on in life?
Yes, one, we have things like industrial noise, where people are always occupied with very noisy areas, producing things where there is a lot of noise, and people doing metal work, grinding, whatnot, timber, sawing, and this kind of noisy environment that keeps damaging hearing gradually. Then even liaison noise, people who attend the discos, noise places, very, very noisy areas and so on. That also we have damage to hearing from this liaison noise. We also have people now putting earphones and maybe plugging them in the ears and perhaps raising the volume to hear. And gradually you find that the use is for so long, the hearing becomes impaired.
At what point do we say that the sound is too loud and that can damage one's ear?
The normal hearing would be at a particular range of decibels. Now, if you increase loudness from 80 decibels and above, or 85 decibels and above, then your ears are at risk of getting damaged. These are the decibels, which is a measurable unit of sound. As the number goes up, the loudness goes up. What we are checking is at what level the client starts to hear. From that level, if you make sounds louder, we'll hear everything. There is a certain portion of the ear that hears a particular sound. And there is another portion of the ear that hears a particular sound. Now, that sound is picked at a particular place of your ear. That sound is picked from a particular place of your ear. That sound is picked from a particular place of your ear. And that one is picked from a particular place of your ear. Therefore, your ear may hear some sounds and some sounds not hear them. So you may have a hearing loss for some sounds and not all sounds. So that's why we do this check, to evaluate every area individually, every sound individually, and these are the ones we call frequencies. That is high frequency, that is a little high, that is another one, that is another one. That's a deep one. That's a deep one. Okay, that's a low one. So you might find your ear not picking the high pitch ones, the high sounds, and picking the other ones. You still have a hearing problem because you are not getting all the sounds as the ear should get them. That's why we have this graph and checking every level to see how every sound is received.
What are some of the interventions that are there that whether it's a child or it's an adult can actually use to help them with their hearing loss?
Now, when we diagnose, first of all, you diagnose there is a hearing problem, and then you identify the cause. Some causes we may not know, but some causes we know, many causes we know. Now, when you know the cause, the next question is this a treatable cause? If it's a treatable cause, then how do you treat it? If it's like discharging ears, you will have to treat the discharge. And if need be, perhaps the eardrum has been damaged, excuse me, you may need to repair that eardrum. So whatever infection has to be treated, whichever way it has to be treated. Then if you find that there is no other option, you can't give any more treatment, and there is still sufficient hearing problem, then you have to rehabilitate that hearing problem. Here comes in now things like hearing aids and so on, because you have reached a stage where you have no other way of correcting the hearing, or the hearing loss you have does not have any other way of correcting it.
So other than just the external factors or even congenital reasons for hearing loss, age is also a risk factor. We've come to the end of the program. Thank you so much for your time. On behalf of everyone who has made the program possible, the production team, and of course our guests who came into the program to help us learn more about hearing loss and even how to prevent it. My name is Marie Yambo, and I hope to see you again next time.